Hello and welcome to Folklore Sleep Stories. Tonight we're drifting into another ancient tale, one shaped by time, memory, and a touch of magic. Before we begin, if you enjoy these stories and want to help keep this space alive, feel free to like and subscribe, and in the comments, is there a folk tale from your homeland you've never forgotten? It's always beautiful to read the stories that shaped you from every corner of the world. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan or crack the window. Let the hum of the world soften. Let go of the day, and let folklore be your lullaby. The mist rolls in from Galway Bay tonight, soft as whispered prayers, carrying with it the scent of salt and wild thyme. Feel how the evening air moves around you, gentle and cool, like the breath of the old land itself. Your own breathing begins to match this ancient rhythm. In with the sea wind, out with the settling dusk. Somewhere in the distance, a curlew calls across the bog, its voice lonely and sweet, and you feel yourself settling deeper, as if the earth itself is cradling you. The weight of the day begins to lift from your shoulders, carried away on that same wind that has blown across these Irish hills for thousands of years. Let your body rest now, as natural as stones finding their place in a field wall, as quiet as moonlight on still water. The old stories are stirring tonight, the ones that live in the space between sleeping and waking, between memory and dream. And so now, in this quiet between moments, your story begins. There is a place in the west of Ireland where the land meets the sea in a conversation older than words. Here, where County Clare gives way to the wild Atlantic, the cliffs rise like the backbone of the world, and the stone circles hold their secrets in perfect, patient rounds. You find yourself walking this ancient coast as twilight deepens, though you cannot quite remember how you came to be here. The grass beneath your feet is soft with evening dew, and each step feels like a homecoming, as if your feet remember this path even when your mind does not. The air tastes of salt and something else, something older, wild honeysuckle perhaps, or the memory of turf fires that burned here centuries ago. To your left, the cliffs drop away to where the sea speaks its endless conversation with the rocks below. The sound is constant but never monotonous, like the breathing of something vast and alive. To your right, the land rolls in gentle waves, dotted with hawthorn trees that stand like ancient guardians, their branches twisted by the western wind into shapes that seem almost human in the gathering dark. You pause at a stile in a low stone wall, your hand resting on granite worn smooth by countless others who have passed this way. The stone is warm beneath your palm, holding the day's heat like a banked fire. As you climb over, you notice something curious. The wall seems to stretch away in both directions further than any wall should, disappearing into the mist as if it were built not just across this field but across time itself. The path leads you up a gentle rise, and with each step you feel yourself moving not just through space but through layers of story. This is the way of thin places, and you sense without being told that you are walking in one now. Here, where the veil between worlds grows gossamer fine, where the old ones still whisper in the wind through the grass. At the crest of the hill, you stop. Before you lies a sight that makes your breath catch softly in your throat. A stone circle stands in the hollow below, 7 great menhirs rising from the earth like sleeping giants. Even in the failing light, you can see how perfectly they are placed, how each stone seems to speak to its neighbours in a language of shadow and starlight. The grass within the circle is different from that around it, a deeper green, as if it has been fed by older rains. But it is not the stones alone that catch your eye. There is someone there. A figure sits at the base of the tallest stone, so still you might have taken them for part of the ancient monument itself. As you watch, they lift their head, and you see a face that could be young or old, marked by the kind of timeless quality that some places leave upon those who tend them long enough. Your feet begin to carry you down the hill without your conscious choosing, and you realize that this is why you have come, not just to this place, but to this moment, to this meeting that feels both inevitable and impossible. The figure does not rise as you approach, but their eyes follow your path, and in them you see the deep wells of someone who has been keeper of old things for longer than counting. When you draw near enough to hear words, they speak, and their voice carries the soft lilt of the West, each word shaped by the land itself. You have come back to us at last. The words should be strange to you, but they settle in your heart like something long lost finally returned. You find yourself sinking down onto the grass beside them. Your back against the ancient stone, and the granite feels like the most natural chair in the world. The stone is warm against your shoulders, radiating a heat that seems to come from deeper than the day's sunlight could account for. I don't remember being here before, you say, and your voice sounds different in this place, softer somehow, as if the very air here knows how to hold words gently. The keeper smiles, and it is like watching the sun break through morning clouds. Memory is a strange thing in the thin places. Sometimes we remember with our bones what our minds have let go. Sometimes the land remembers us better than we remember ourselves. They gesture toward the circle around you, to the 7 stones standing their eternal watch. These have been here since before the Celts came with their iron and their new gods, before the Druids raised their sacred groves, before the first boats crossed from Spain or Scotland or wherever the first people came from. The stones remember it all. As if in response to their words, you feel something stirring in the ground beneath you, a deep thrumming like the slowest heartbeat in the world. The sensation travels up through the stone at your back, through your bones, until you feel connected to something vast and patient and endlessly deep. What are they remembering, you ask? The keeper's eyes turn to the western horizon, where the last light of day is painting the clouds in shades of salmon and gold. Everything. The first fires lit in their shadow, the ceremonies that marked the turning of seasons, the children who played between them while their parents worked the fields, the lovers who met here under full moons, the griefs brought here to be held by something stronger than any single heart. They reach down and touch the earth with an open palm. But mostly they remember the keepers, those who have tended this place through all the long years, the ones who lit the fires on the high holy days, who kept the old stories alive when the new world would have forgotten them entirely. Are you one of them? You ask. A keeper? I am the last of them, and the first of them, and one of many. Their answer comes like a riddle, but somehow you understand. In places like this, time moves differently. Past and future curl into each other like smoke from a dying fire. The keeper rises then, moving with the fluid grace of someone who has walked this circle countless times. Come, it is nearly time. Time for what? For the stories to wake, for the stones to sing, for you to remember what you came here to remember. You follow them around the circle, your feet finding a path worn smooth by generations of walkers. The keeper moves slowly, pausing at each stone to lay a hand upon its surface, and you begin to understand that this is not mere ceremony but conversation. They are speaking with these ancient monuments in a language older than words. At the second stone, a smaller menhir carved with spirals that seem to shift in the twilight. The keeper stops longer. This one remembers the first keeper, they say. A woman who came here when the ice was still retreating from the northern mountains. She had lost her tribe to the hungry years, and she came here because the stones called to her in dreams. You reach out hesitantly and touch the carved spirals. The stone is warm under your fingers, and for a moment you could swear you feel something like a pulse, steady and slow. Images flicker behind your eyes, a figure in rough-woven cloth, building a small fire between the stones, speaking to them as if they were old friends. She stayed, you ask. She stayed, and when others came, she welcomed them, taught them the ways of this place, how to read the patterns of wind and star that the stones had been marking since the world was young, how to listen for the voices that speak from the deep earth on the nights when the moon is dark. The third stone bears no carving, but its surface is polished smooth as glass, reflecting the first stars as they appear in the darkening sky. The keeper's hand lingers here, and their voice grows softer. This one remembers the keeper who came in the time of sorrow, when the boats came from across the sea and everything changed. The old ways were declared dead, the old gods forgotten. But the keeper stayed, tending the stones in secret, keeping the ceremonies alive in the hidden hours. Was it dangerous, you ask? All keeping is dangerous, in its way. To hold on to something the world wants to forget requires a kind of courage that most people do not possess. But this keeper understood that some things are worth the risk, that some memories are too important to let die. The fourth stone is the largest, standing almost twice your height, its surface dark and mysterious in the gathering night. Here the keeper pauses longest of all, their hand pressed flat against the ancient granite. This one remembers the keeper of the middle years, when the old ways and the new had learned to dance together. A man who could speak to the stones in the old tongue and to the village folk in the new. He built the first bridge between what was and what was becoming. You feel drawn to touch this stone as well, and when you do, warmth spreads up your arm like gentle fire. For a moment you see figures gathering in the circle, people in clothes from a dozen different centuries, all of them turning towards something at the center of the stones, all of them listening. What are they listening to, you ask? The song, the keeper says simply. The song that the stones sing when the conditions are right, when the keeper is present, when the seeker is ready, when the thin places grow thin enough to let the oldest music through. The fifth stone is carved with symbols you do not recognize but somehow understand. Spirals and lines that speak of seasons turning, of lives beginning and ending, of the great wheel that turns through all things. This one remembers the keeper who came in the time of the great hunger, when the people left in ships for lands across the sea. She could have gone with them, had family waiting in Boston and New York, but she stayed because someone had to stay. Someone had to keep the stones from growing too lonely. Do they get lonely, you ask? All ancient things grow lonely, if left too long without human touch. The stones remember better when there are people to remember with them. They sing clearer when there are ears to hear. The sixth stone is smaller than the others, almost humble, worn by wind and rain until its surface is soft as skin. But when the keeper touches it, their face lights with something approaching joy. This one remembers the keeper of the recent years, the one who came when the world began to remember again that old things have value. She brought the tourists and the scholars, taught them to approach with respect, to take only pictures and leave only footprints. She built the new bridge between the ancient and the modern. You notice past tense. She's gone? She passed last winter, during the great storms, went to sleep by the fire, and simply didn't wake, as if she had given all her years to the stones and had no more to spend. The keeper's voice holds sadness, but it is the clean sadness of natural endings, not the bitter grief of things cut short. And now there is only you, you say. And now there is you, the keeper corrects gently. The words hang in the air between you like a question you are not ready to answer. You have reached the seventh stone now, the one where the keeper had been sitting when you first saw them. It stands at the eastern point of the circle, facing the direction from which you came. This stone remembers all the keepers, the keeper says, and all the ones who came to seek what the stones can give, but mostly it remembers the choosings. Choosings. The moments when the circle calls to someone new, when the old keeper knows their time is ending, and the stones begin to sing for the one who will come next. You look around the circle, at the 6 stones you have visited, and the 7th against which you now stand. The stars are coming out overhead, more of them than you have ever seen in your life, as if the circle sits in a place where the sky is deeper than elsewhere. I don't understand, you say, though part of you does. Part of you that has been understanding since the moment you first saw this place. The keeper moves to the center of the circle, to a spot where the grass grows in a perfect spiral, as if shaped by countless years of ceremonial walking. They sit cross-legged there, hands resting open on their knees, and suddenly they look very young and very old at the same time. Sit with me, they say. Listen. You move to join them in the center of the circle, and as you settle onto the soft grass, you feel the stones around you like a presence, like 7 old friends gathering to share something precious. The wind has stilled. The The sea sounds distant, and the only sound is your breathing, and the keeper's, slow and matched and peaceful. Close your eyes, the keeper says, and their voice seems to come from everywhere and nowhere. Feel the stones. You let your eyes drift shut, and immediately the world changes. Without sight, your other senses expand, and you become aware of things you had not noticed before. The warmth rising from the earth beneath you, the way the air moves differently within the circle, as if it flows in patterns older than weather. The sense of vast age and patience that radiates from the stones like heat from banked coals. And then, just at the edge of hearing, you detect something else. It starts as a vibration, so low you feel it more than hear it. A thrumming that seems to come from deep in the earth, travelling up through the stones, through your bones, until it resonates in your chest like the echo of some enormous bell. Gradually, it resolves into something that might be called music, though it is unlike any music you have ever heard. It is the song of stone and time, of seasons turning and waters flowing. It is the melody that plants follow as they reach toward light, the rhythm that moves in the blood of all living things. It is the first song, the one that was singing when the world was young, and it will be the last song, still playing when the stars finally fade. Do you hear it? The keeper asks, and their voice blends seamlessly with the music. Yes, you whisper, and the single word seems to join the song, to become part of its ancient harmony. This is what the keepers keep. They continue. Not just the stones, not just the stories, but this, the connection. The song that joins all things. The reminder that we are not separate from the land, but part of it, shaped by it, holding our small piece of its great memory. The music swells around you, and within it you begin to hear other voices. The first keeper, singing to the stones in a language older than any that is spoken now. The keeper of the hungry years, humming lullabies to comfort the stones through the long, lonely nights. The keeper of the middle years, teaching the village children songs that carried the old knowledge in their melodies. All of them here, all of them part of the great chorus that the stones have been conducting for thousands of years. Why me, you ask, though you are no longer surprised that the question is yours to ask. Because you heard the call, the keeper says, because you found your way here when the choosing was ready to happen, because your heart knows how to listen to old songs. But I don't know anything about being a keeper. I don't know the old stories, the ceremonies, the ways of tending sacred places. The keeper's laughter joins the music, warm and reassuring. None of us knew when we began. The stones teach what needs to be learned, when it needs to be learned. The important thing is not knowledge, but willingness. The willingness to stay, to listen, to let yourself be changed by this place as much as you change it. You open your eyes and look around the circle, at the 7 stones standing their patient watch. They no longer seem like monuments from someone else's past. They feel like home, like a responsibility you have been carrying without knowing it, like the answer to a question you have been asking all your life without knowing you were asking it. What happened to the other keepers, you ask? When their time ended, they became part of the song. The keeper says simply, part of the memory that the stones hold, part of the wisdom that gets passed to each new keeper when the time is right. And you? And I will become part of the song too when the sun rises. My time of keeping is done. The stones have sung me through to completion, and now they are ready to sing with a new voice. There should be sadness in this, but somehow there is only peace. The keeper looks around the circle with the satisfaction of someone who has completed a long and important task. Will I see you again, you ask? You will hear me in the song, they say. When you need guidance, when you are uncertain, when the keeping grows difficult, all the keepers are there in the music that the stones make. We do not leave, we become part of what remains. The keeper rises then, moving toward the edge of the circle. As they walk, their form seems to grow lighter, more translucent, as if they are fading into the starlight itself. Wait, you call? I still don't know what to do. How to be a keeper? They pause at the edge of the circle, one hand resting on the first stone. Trust the stones. Trust the song. Trust your heart that brought you here. The keeping is not a burden, but a gift. You will understand. And then they are gone, not in any dramatic flash or fading, but simply gone, as naturally as mist disperses at dawn. You are alone in the circle with the 7 stones and the endless song that pulses through the earth. But you do not feel alone. You settle back into the center of the circle, cross-legged on the spiral of grass, and close your eyes again. The song is still there, stronger now, as if your acceptance has opened some channel that was waiting to be cleared. And within the music you begin to sense the presence of all the keepers who have come before. Their knowledge flows through you, like water through stone, slow and patient and deep. You understand now how to read the patterns of wind and weather that the stones mark. You know which herbs grow best in soil that has been blessed by ancient ceremonies. You feel the calendar that governs this place, the way the light falls differently on certain days, the times when the veil grows thin enough for the old powers to wake. Most importantly, you understand the nature of keeping itself. It is not about preserving something that is dead, but about tending something that is eternally alive. The stones are not monuments to the past, but doorways to a deeper present, a place where time moves in spirals rather than straight lines, where the wisdom of the ancestors remains available to those who know how to listen. Dawn is beginning to touch the eastern sky when you finally open your eyes again. The stars are fading and the first birds are beginning their morning songs. You feel different, changed in ways both subtle and profound. The world looks the same, but you see it differently now, as if you have been given new eyes that can perceive the layers of story and meaning that exist beneath the surface of things. You rise and begin to walk the circle again, but this time it is not the keeper who guides you. This time, you are the one laying hands on each stone, feeling their individual personalities, their unique contributions to the great song. The first stone, the one that remembers the beginning. The second, with its spirals that mark the turning of seasons. The third, polished smooth by wind and rain, and the touch of countless hands. The fourth, the largest, the one that holds the center of the song. The fifth, carved with symbols that speak in the language of growing things. The sixth, humble and worn, holding the memory of ordinary days and small kindnesses. The seventh, the chooser, the one that calls to new keepers when the time is right. As you complete the circle, the sun breaks over the horizon, painting the stones gold and throwing long shadows across the grass. The song continues as it always has, as it always will, but now you are part of it. Your voice joined to the great chorus that has been singing since the world was young. You understand that you will not stay here always. This is not a prison but a calling. And part of that calling involves going back into the world carrying the song with you, helping others to remember what they have forgotten. You will return to your life, but you will never leave this circle entirely. Part of you will always be here, listening to the stones, tending the ancient music, waiting for the next seeker to find their way to this thin place where the old ways still live. The keeper's words come back to you. The keeping is not a burden, but a gift. You sit once more in the center of the circle and let the morning sun warm your face. Around you, the stones stand their eternal watch, patient and strong and endlessly wise. The song pulses through the earth, through your bones, through the very air you breathe. You are home. You are keeper. You are part of the song that will never end. And so the story settles like mist into valleys, like starlight onto water. The circle stands as it always has, waiting for the next keeper, the next seeker, the next soul brave enough to listen to the old songs and make them new again. Let your breathing slow now, matching the rhythm of that ancient music. Feel the ground beneath you, solid and patient as the stones themselves. You carry something of that circle with you now, some echo of its peace, some fragment of its wisdom. Perhaps you too are a keeper of old things, old truths, old ways of seeing that the world needs now more than ever. Perhaps you too know how to listen for the songs that pulse beneath the surface of things. waiting to be heard by those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. The stones remember everything, and now they remember you too, sitting in their circle as twilight falls, as dawn breaks, as the great wheel turns through all its seasons. You are part of their story now, part of the long chain of those who have chosen to stay, to listen, to keep the ancient music alive. Let your breath move like tide now, soft and slow and sure. Let your body rest like stone, weathered and worn and infinitely patient. Let your mind drift like mist over the waters, formless and free and at peace. The song continues as it always has, as it always will, and you are part of it now, part of the great chorus that joins all things, part of the music that plays in the spaces between heartbeats, in the silence between thoughts, in the gentle darkness between sleeping and waking. May this story rest with you tonight, like moonlight on still water, like wind through ancient grass, like the whispered prayers of all who have ever sought the thin places where the old world still lives. And now, sleep.